Future Now Show. Brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam.
Hey Futurists, welcome back to the Future Now Show brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam. We have a great show for you today. Joining me from Kona, Hawaii is Nichol Bradford. Nichol is Executive Director of the Transformative Technology Lab at Sophia University in Palo Alto. So, hi Nichol.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in Hawaii.
You are in Hawaii. That is fabulous. How is the weather there?
It's really great. I was here for a conference with Wisdom 2.0. Wisdom is an organization that's focused on technology and wisdom blended together. And so they had a small conference out here, and then I just stayed a few days. But it's beautiful. The weather's great.
That's great. And so in our last episode, we met Mikey Siegel, and it seems like the two of you made for a great match for our two-part consciousness hacking special that we're doing. And whereas Mikey is working on his consciousness hacking group, you have a wonderful lab that you're working on, and that is about transformative technology. So what is transformative technology?
Transformative technology is the use of technology for mental and emotional well-being and for psychological well-being, and ultimately also for transformation itself. So it's the deliberate inner evolution that one can go through, and using technology to give insight for that. Historically, a lot of the advances we've had in technology have either been about diagnosis or productivity, and this is taking it to the next step and saying that technology should support our psychological well-being. So I work really closely with Mikey. Consciousness Hacking is a great organization. The way to think about conscious hacking and the Transformative Technology Lab is that we're creating infrastructure. My goal is to grow the number of people who are going through transformative experiences and hacking their consciousness, which is really what it is, by creating and supporting as many products and modalities as possible. So I really believe in commercialization. And so what the lab does is it funds basic research into the correlates of the deep brain correlates of the effects of meditation, self-awareness, human connection. And then we also are creating a community. So we have an amazing board of directors from both the industry, so people from Amazon and Google and places like that, as well as our academic board, which is leaders in neuroscience, psychology, psychiatry, clinicians, a wide variety of very strong academic people. And then also the third thing we do is create resources for entrepreneurs. And so we're having meetups that are really focused on people who want to build companies now, who want to make products now, either hardware, software, or processes that people can use to hack their consciousness. So it's a very sort of, build it mentality. And we work really closely with Conscious Hacking, the movement, of which Mikey is the lead.
So let's just backtrack a little bit, because your background is fascinating, and you worked for Blizzard Entertainment as an executive, and so many people would be fascinated. What inspired you to venture out of the gaming world, which is so highly coveted to be into? It's such an exciting world to be in, to venture out and start researching and being more into this whole consciousness and being able to meditate and using technology to be in touch with our inner self. Where was that shift?
Well, I went on a meditation retreat is basically what happened. So I was overseeing operations for Blizzard Entertainment for China. So that meant I ran World of Warcraft, StarCraft. I also did localization. My team did localization for Diablo and other things. And then I went on a meditation retreat and found just a complete shift in my worldview. 10 days, total happiness, total fearlessness. And I was really intrigued about how that could happen. I think, you know, our society, it's really common for people to think that they're not enough. And so there's sort of like a latent fear that I think a lot of people have. And I certainly had my own versions of those. And so to step into a state of total fearlessness and happiness on a level that, you know, I was always a happy person, but on a level that, you know, was shocking. I wanted to really understand what happened to me. I wanted to share it with friends and loved ones. And I wanted to, because of my background with technology and my comfort with scale, I wanted to figure out, how do you scale it? And so that's what I'm doing. But I do think that all of this is going to migrate back into game environments. You know, the other day I was, actually there's an article that just came out in the Wall Street Journal. I think it's on my Facebook page today, of studies that have been done on young people and their use of social media. And it turns out that it's not affecting their friendships negatively. And I think one of the things that is really interesting is that, you know, in my generation, people were anonymous in chat rooms. There was a lot of that. I'm older than I look, but with younger generations, even though the membrane between your digital world and your physical world is still, you know, we don't all have augmented reality glasses. We're not in D space to draw from Damon or Freedom. So we don't have that. But our sense of the younger generations, who we are online and who we are in the real world, it's just another part of our personality, another part of the way that we present. So I think down the road, it's all going to go back into game environments. So I don't really feel like I've left gaming, but I feel like I've gone to pick up another piece. And it's funny, I was talking to someone the other day. I'm probably the only person in the world who has operated and understands how to operate a massive online role-playing game, who is also, you know, becoming a bit of an expert in the process of transformation and how one would scale that. So I imagine at one point, both of those worlds will collide, and we will be using, you know, technology to evolve, and it will feel, you know, like we're in a role-playing game, which is sort of what life is anyway.
That is so fascinating. It reminds me of even, say, Second Life or something like that. Is how, I mean, is that where we're headed? Do you believe that we'll be having these digital worlds that we will be existing in and feeling good through that? Is that how it'll work?
I think there'll be a variety of things. I think for sure there's going to be, you know, complete immersion virtual worlds. But I think, and people will go there and it'll become really, really common. But I think that there's going to be a huge potential for augmented or annotated reality, where you sort of have a heads-up display that blends your digital experience and your physical experience. And we're going to stop with the sort of, we're not going to see the distinction as artificial anymore. At some point, especially, you know, for the people who are born not knowing a world where there wasn't a Facebook or, you know, an intense social media presence, it'll all be the same thing. You know, we won't consider them different. And because of that, they'll be really well integrated. You'll have a heads-up display. At some point, you know, I think all of this will be on contact lenses and that sort of thing.
That is great.
And we'll totally adapt to it, and it'll be, you know, additive to us.
Wow. I am so looking forward to that. I would love to just put on a heads-up display or press a button and just feel amazing or fearless. I think to feel fearless would be so powerful, because I think so many of us do hold on to those feelings a lot. And I'm looking forward to it. How far away do you believe we might be from having this type of technology where you could press a button and feel fearless?
Well, I think, you know, one quick distinction, a slight, just to get a little bit more precise, there's fearlessness that is good, like you're walking down a dark alley. And then there's psychological fear, which is I have a misspelling in that email, I'm going to get fired. Because I'll get fired, I won't be able to pay my rent. I'm going to be living on the street. I'm going to live in a box. And this whole thing that we go through, in less than 30 seconds. And that's the thing that sort of holds us back and keeps us from fulfilling our potential. And it's also, one of the things, so one of the core parts of transformation is on its simplest side, it's the ability to manage stress. And that's where a lot of the people who are driving markets are now becoming interested in transformative technology, because stress has very tangible, real effects on the body and health and things like that. So there's cost to stress. But most stress comes from psychological fears about, money, society, what's happening in the world, what's happening with the election, all of those things. So that's that's this end of the pool. On the far side of transformation is the understanding that the self is not exactly what we thought it was, and that it isn't, our perception of what the self is actually is different than what it actually is. And so when you get to that point, then the need to protect the self, this idea, the way that we present, the need to protect our image, or to not ask for what we want because we're afraid of not getting it. So all of these things that cause conflict between human beings, that really sort of drops away, in the effort in the description of true transformation. And so that's also where you get like true fearlessness, because, what does it matter? And so I think in terms of where the, technology is, I would say, let's see, I'll put this out there. I think probably as we're inching along this curve, I think that things that help with stress, already there. Things that, help one accelerate and deepen the efficacy of meditation, which right now is one of the most reliable methods of getting to the far other side. Widespread commercial products. I think that's going to be 2 to 3 years. You'll be able to get things, use things, train alpha, which is really deepens and accelerates the effects of meditation. And then, the button, I would say we probably will have the button within 10 years. But there is, a lot between, now and then. And there's already things today that you can use that can, greatly improve your sense of well-being and reduce reactivity and, reduce reliance on that, that the voice of that self to define who you are and thus affect your actions. You just get to be.
That was great information. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And where else can we find more information about your transformative technology lab?
Okay, so the lab is transtechlab.org. So www.transtechlab.org. And that's where you can see all of our programs. You can see our awesome advisory board. You can see our events. And then we also have a YouTube channel where we've just put up all of the videos from the Transformative Technology Conference, which we just had 2 weeks ago. It was our very first conference. We co-produced it with Mikey and Conscious Hacking, and we sold out. We had 350 available seats, and we sold all of them, or they were all, spoken for. And it was a great community event, and the speakers were fantastic. And so we feel really good about what we created with that.
That's great. All right. So I will definitely be sharing all these in links below. Thank you all for watching, everybody. And Nichol, as always, thank you so much for joining us here today. And I look forward to building a better future. Let's go.
It's always nice to see you.